On behalf of the official opposition, I have the pleasure to join my honorable colleagues to support the 75th anniversary of the liberation of Netherlands and of Victory Day in Europe.
5 years ago this week, the guns fell silent, marking the end of a brutal war that had cost tens of millions of people their lives. This silence was replaced by cheers and tears as citizens took to the streets to celebrate the German surrender and the beginning of an era of peace. Today, we remember the courage of the more than 1 million brave Canadians and Newfoundlanders who left their homes, their families, and their friends to fight for freedom during the Second World War. Their service and sacrifice, along with that of our allies, allowed us to defeat the tyranny of Nazi Germany and fascist Italy, but it came at a great cost. By the end of the war, more than 45,000 Canadians and Newfoundlanders had made the ultimate sacrifice, and 55,000 were injured. All carried scars, whether visible or invisible, that would last a lifetime. While it is said that the First World War made us a nation, it was the Second World War that solidified Canada as a key player on the world stage. Despite our relatively small population, Canadian soldiers, sailors, and aviators punched above their weight, including at Dieppe, in Ortana, on Juno Beach, and in the liberation of the Netherlands. In early 1945, the 1st Canadian Army helped free Dutch cities and towns from their Nazi occupiers. After 5 years of German occupation, the Dutch welcomed Canadians into their homes and formed lasting friendships. Today, Canada is home to many proud Dutch Canadians. And in my riding of Barrie-Innisfil, Tollendale Village, just around the corner from where I live, is home to many Canadians of Dutch descent who lived through this period of darkness in their homeland. And when I visit Tollendale, I hear the stories of what they went through under German occupation. I also hear about the undying gratitude they have for Canada and for the brave soldiers who came to free them. And it would not surprise me at all, Mr. Speaker, if Canadian flags are draped over the balconies of Tollendale Village today to signify that deep and profound level of gratitude. But the deep bond forged between our two countries goes beyond the battlefield. During the conflict, members of the Dutch royal family found sanctuary in Canada. And in recognition of our friendship, the Dutch sent thousands of tulip bulbs to Canada after the war, which became an annual tradition and the inspiration for Ottawa's Tulip Festival, which we celebrate each May. Like so many other celebrations, this year's Tulip Festival, in the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the liberation of the Netherlands and the Victory in Europe Day, will be much different.
Normally, we would gather at Cunedy Cenotafs to pay tribute to those who gave their lives for us and to remember that freedom has never been free. But because of the current pandemic, this year we will gather online for virtual services or pause in quiet personal reflection.
Normally, Mr. Speaker, we would gather at community cenotaphs to honor those who gave their lives and to remember that freedom that has never been free. But because of the current pandemic, this year we will gather online for virtual services or pause in quiet personal reflection. And while the crisis has affected Canadians from coast to coast, I know that the isolation has been particularly difficult for our seniors and our veterans. I ask Canadians to please remember to check in on the veterans and seniors in your communities. Let them know that they are not alone, that their service has not been forgotten, and that help will always be available if needed. For they are the ties that bind this great nation together. And during these unprecedented times, Canadians continue to demonstrate the dedication, bravery, and patriotism that defined our efforts throughout the Second World War. Our healthcare professionals are on the front lines each and every day fighting to keep us healthy and safe. Members of the Canadian Armed Forces are helping in long-term care homes. The Canadian Rangers are supporting northern and remote communities, and reserve units stand ready to help Canadians if needed.
All Canadians are grateful for your service, and on behalf of the official opposition, I would like to say thank you.
Canadians are grateful for your service, and on behalf of the official opposition, I would like to say thank you. Just this past week, Mr. Speaker, we were reminded of the tremendous cost of service, as 6 members of the Canadian Armed Forces were killed in a helicopter crash during Operation Reassurance. Our sincere condolences go out to the families of the fallen. May God bless them and comfort them during this difficult time. Today and every day, let us honor our veterans, our brave servicemen and women, and all those who continue to fight for a freer and peaceful world. Lest we forget, n'oublions jamais.
Lest we forget.
Nous allons continuer.